Hello again, welcome back to Orange Track Outlaws. Today we are going to customize this Torino Talladega. We're going to do a wheel swap, custom paint job. Let's get to it. So here comes our project on our custom hauler. Pretty cool car here, the Torino Talladega. I like it. One thing I don't like is the narrow wheelbase. Other than that, it is a really cool casting. We are going to get to it here. First thing we're going to do is drill out the post as usual. We're going to start by drilling a little pilot hole in both posts there, and then we're going to switch to our bigger drill bit. We're going to drill the heads off those posts, and then we'll be able to pop the body apart. This one come apart actually pretty easy. So get our screwdriver here. Try to pop the little circle off there. Is kind of what you're looking for. That's pretty much the rest of the post head that's left over there. Once you can pop that little metal ring off, it ought to come apart. It ought to just fall apart. Really, it'll come apart easy. So we'll get her off there. We'll kind of wedge our screwdriver under there and just pop it off, and just try to gently pull it apart there. The back post is just a little stuck, but it'll pop off here. There we go. So get our shavings out of the way and take a look at what we got here. Kind of odd. Got a green windshield and blue interior. Not a huge fan, but I got a pretty good plan for this. Chrome body too, not a big fan of that. But we're going to get into the sandblast in here. We're going to get our body cleaned up. We're going to strip all that white off of there. This casting stripped actually really easy in the sandblaster. So once we get that all stripped off, we'll be able to see actually what kind of shape it is, see if it's pitted. We'll get into the wire wheel booth and get this thing cleaned up. I'm a big fan of the sandblasting over the paint strippers. It's less mess, it's a lot faster in my opinion, and it actually leaves the body in a nice shape. So this is what it looks like when it gets out of the sandblaster. So we're getting our little wire wheel booth here, clean out all that sandblast residue off. You can see it already shining in there pretty good. Once we give it a quick once over here with the wire wheel, I'll bring it out here and show you that it's actually, it actually leaves a real nice shine. We'll hit it with a little bit of triple aught steel wool, just to clean it up a little bit more. Not going to do a polish job on this one, since we're going to do a base coat and first some primer sealer, base coat, and then some clear coat. So here we got the body. We're going to drill the post out now. This is when I prefer to do it, after the sandblasting, so none of the particles and any of that junk from the sandblaster get in your holes and clog it up. So we'll drill our posts out here. I have some self-tapping screws, so we're gonna skip the tap here. It's self-tapping screws are really nice to have, and it takes very little effort to get them in there. So once we get our post drilled out here, we are going to move on, but off to the paint booth here. We're going to start off with some gray primer sealer. We're going to put a little reducer in it. Big fan of these Autoborn sealers. They go on real nice, they cover nice. So we're just going to start hitting this thing. Light first coat as usual. Just get it all nice and covered. Give the rest of the coat something to stick to. Then after, we're just going to keep layering on some coats after that first one dries. This stuff does dry really fast. So, got another coat going here, and this will probably just about do it. This casting had a good amount of pits in it, whatever, so I'm going to try to layer it up where those are, get the holes filled in. But overall, you know, that Autoborn sealer does turn out very smooth. Yeah, kind of hard to see there, but it does look pretty good. Next, we're going to do a little gloss black. The idea here was to do kind of like a flat black all over with a gloss black racing stripe down the middle. We're trying to make it real subtle with the gloss black down the middle, and see if it comes out noticeable, and hopefully it'll look good. But we're gonna hit it with the gloss black. You can spray this straight out of the bottle. Sprays on really nice. Just you get a light first coat on there, same as a primer. Once you get a nice light first coat on, you can start layering these up as you get more coats onto it, and it does stick a lot better. It does look really good when you're done. So we're just going to continue to layer our coats of gloss black on here. So I think we're just about got her done. Just a little darker here. I really want that deep dark gloss black, so when we spray the flat over it, we can see that little bit of, we can see that racing style stripe I'm going to put down the middle, kind of pop off in the middle. So I think that's about going to do it. It's nice and shiny black. I'm liking how it looks so far. So here we got it all taped off. I'm going to try to see if the side skirts will stay gloss black. I don't have flat black, so I read we're going to try this burnt umber, and we're going to try a marine blue. Mix these together, and it ought to come out with a nice flat black effect. It's actually a really dark green, but we're going to mix a little 40-30 with it, a little 40-12, and we're going to start spraying and see if this doesn't actually look like a flat black. Yeah, we're going to start out with our light coat, first coat. It's really kind of hard to tell that if it actually looks flat in the video, but the first coat didn't change it too much, but as I start layering the coats on, it does get a little more noticeable that the flat look starts to come out, and you'll be able to see when I take the tape off that it actually turned out pretty much as expected. Actually, there'll be a subtle glossy stripe down the middle, and then the flat on the sides. So I think we just about got got our coverage in here. It's not looking too bad. So put that down for now, and we're going to start working on our axle tubes. Since we're going to do a wheel swap, I got some cool looking green rims with some Real Riders. But like I said earlier in the video, this is such a shallow or a narrow wheelbase here that we're going to have to cut the Real Rider axles, and we're going to have to make some tubes with some brass tubing. So measured it out, and we got our X-Acto knife, and this brass tube cuts really easy. If you just put a little pressure on it and kind of roll it, it'll cut right through it. So that's how we're going to start, by getting our axle tubes cut off. I'm going to get the rest of our tubing here. We're going to fit the front up. I did off camera take my little drill bit and just kind of augered out the hole there a little bit, so the tubing will fit in, just a little bit, really, just enough to be able to slide the tube in. Don't want to go too awful much. Don't want it a lot of slop and a lot of play. So we're just going to take our knife and we're going to roll our tube here and get our second one trimmed off, and then we'll be ready to cut in our notches to glue our axles in. So here's our Real Riders we're going to be gluing in here. So now it's time to cut our notches in, but first we're just going to basically trim the ends here from any rough edges from when we were cutting it. Every once in a while there's a little burr or something that gets stuck on the edge, or a little piece that you didn't cut through when you trimmed off. So once we get those taken care of, we're going to take a little piece of piano wire here, and actually learned this trick from Outlaw Speed Shop. I hope you watch his videos. A lot of good content there. But if you slide this piano wire in here, and then when you go to notch out your notch there for your axles where you drop your glue, you kind of put your grinder on it until you see sparks. When you see sparks, you know you're through as far as you want to go. That means you hit your piano wire. Then you just kind of pull it a little bit, try to open that gap up just a little bit, and basically it protects you from basically making that notch too deep, and then it kind of weakens it, or going all the way through. So we're going to do our other notch here for our tube. There's the sparks in far enough, so we should be, this tube here actually is it's ready to go now. So we're going to have to repeat the process here for the other one. Alright, once we get our piano wire in, we can start our notches. Remember, it just takes a little gap in here for the super glue to get into the axle. So just don't need much. Just hit it for a few seconds till the sparks show up. Alright, we'll flip her around. Do this other side. Then we'll be ready to cut our axles down to size and get them fitted in our new tubes. Yeah, these skinny tubes, pretty difficult to work with. It helps to have some needle nose or some forceps or something to get them in there. So here we go. We're going to take our axles here, and since these are the wheelbase is so skinny, we've got to trim a lot back on the axle itself, so it doesn't hit the other side when they go in the tube. So once we get these cut, we'll be able to fit them in our tubes, get them glued up, and we'll get them in our chassis and make sure everything fits nice. I think you're really going to like these green wheels. They kind of pop with the green windshield. They can contrast really nice with the blue interior. I think you're going to be, pretty impressed with the look. So we're going to start gluing in our axles here once we get our tube set in place so we can actually get to it. Not a whole lot here other than fitting it in the tube, making sure your axles are trimmed down far enough so they don't hit each other when you put them in there. So that one there was just a little too long, so we're going to trim off just a little bit, and we're going to fit them in. I know this is kind of carrying on a little bit with the video here, but I wanted you guys to see how I go about making my axle tubes and making them fit in the chassis, and I thought this would be a good one to show you. So here again, this axle was cut just a little too long, so I'll just trim off a little bit, give it another test fit. Make sure our axle gets all the way in there. Make sure they don't hit. And as long as they don't hit, then we're going to be ready for some super glue. So I like to just barely nudge the wheels off the axle tube, so when they do spin, they don't hit. They don't rub at all. So just barely nudge them off there. Make sure you don't pop your axle out too far, because then you'll have a lot of slop in your wheel. When it rolls, that wheel will want to kick out, and since these are since these are tucked in the fender wells, they'll want to rub. So got them where I want. Just gonna put just a little dab of super glue on the notches that we made. There we go. And I like to add a little bit of super glue accelerator, basically, to make it dry a lot faster. So I'm going to hit it with the accelerator, and basically that tube there is done. So we're going to set that thing aside and do the other one. Basically the same process. Just fit your axles and get them cut to size so they fit in there without hitting each other, so they fit all the way in without hitting each other. So this one I cut a little too long, so I'll just trim off just a little bit and it should fit perfect. Alright, got them trimmed up. Now we're going to test fit them in our tube. Make sure the axle gets all the way in there. Every once in a while you gotta kind of gotta push it in there a little harder than normal. trimming the notches out might leave some burrs or something on the inside, so you just got to poke them through, or you can poke the piano wire through beforehand. So again, put the axles in, make sure they don't touch, and then back them off just a little bit so they don't rub on the tube. And we'll hit these guys with a little bit of super glue in our notches. Doesn't take much. And then we're going to hit it with a little accelerator, and we should be done with our axle tubes, and we'll just fit them in the chassis. So I got them in there. They fit perfect. Super glued them down. Hit it with some accelerator. That's what you see, the white there. The accelerator turns the super glue white. You gotta make sure you cut some little notches on your interior there where they used to grab on the factory wheels. So we get those notches out, get your interior test fit. It looks like it fits fine. Everything rolls, everything fits. So now it's time for our final assembly. And you can kind of see there, there it is. You can kind of see when it's just off the light that there is a nice gloss black stripe down the middle. So we did dip our windshield in some pledge off camera. Get that thing nice and shiny, even though it was brand new. We'll still hit it with a little bit of the floor care. So get it all nice and fitted in. We'll get our screws in, and we'll be ready for our reveal. Yeah, I'm really liking how this thing's turning out. So we're just about ready to show you our final product, but we're going to show you, this is what we started with. The Torino Talladega, white with the flames, and we transformed it into this. Flat black, somewhat murdered out. I hope you guys like the final product here. I know I do. I want to thank you again for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. See you.